True Life News Show today, guys. We knew it, we called it, and yes, it has happened. More bombshell news from the Trump Elon Doge team. Guys, they are literally unveiling everything that we've thought for so long. There have been federal officials, federal workers, that have been trying to delete files to cover up their lavish lifestyles, been paid for by taxpayer dollars, and now they have all been criminally referred to the DOJ. And don't think for a second, guys, Mike Johnson is out of the mix right now. The Congress is supposed to be in control of the purse, and in no time have they ever said to audit the government, the federal departments, investigate, or hold anyone accountable for the waste of the federal government spending. Nobody's been held accountable, and now that they're finding all this, they're saying, Mike Johnson, you and all your team approved this, you and all the representatives approved this, but you never asked where the money was going, how it was being spent, or ever audited. Let me know your thoughts in the questions, guys, because I'm telling you, the more that we dig into this, the more that we're finding more fraud, waste, and abuse, and I'm sick of it. But not only that, they also found out that Congress has been dropping the ball so much. Doge found out that the CIA, think about this, guys, the CIA was stashing money, weapons at the Institute of Peace and putting it on their books. They were using these weapons and this money out of the Institute of Peace to fund their secret operations abroad and domestic. The amount of insane information that we have uncovered is insane, guys. It's crazy. Like how deep the deep state is, how they use different departments to use our taxpayer dollars to fund whatever things that they had going here and around the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But on top of that, it doesn't end there, guys. This is so good because when we find it, we can stop it. On top of that, Tulsi Gabbard, our director of national intelligence, has said that they have found and unveiled that there are over 20 United States funded biolabs in Ukraine that are creating viruses like the COVID-19 virus in Ukraine that we just experienced in 2020. And it's all happening in Ukraine. She said she is working to shut them down with Doge, to cut their funding, and to investigate and to find out who is responsible for authorizing and funding these 20 biolabs that are creating viruses that could create pandemics, guys. I don't even know what's going on right here, but this news, guys. People need to go to jail. People need to be arrested, guys, because there's so much corruption. We're about to get into the details of this huge interview that has happened where we are seeing what is actually being found. And in good news, guys, this is what I love. Amazing news is we got the jobs report that came out this morning. They expected to add 135,000 new jobs in America in April, and Trump beat that by adding 177,000 jobs and reduced the amount of federal workers so that we have more private sector jobs, reducing the size of government with lesser federal jobs. Promises made, promises kept, because it's reducing the weight on the taxpayers' back, guys. This is what we voted for, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm so excited that we're seeing so much improvement, so much traction with the Trump team, the Doge team, the whole cabinet team. This is amazing. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. Guys, thank you so much for your support. And if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here. We want you here. We want to take care of you with the top news. I want to say thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation, like Michael Hendricks. Guys, show Michael some love in the chat. And to everybody that is a member of the channel, guys, it means the world to us that you support us as we are giving more and more every month to those local charities. Oh, and also, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, it really does help with the channel, and we're about to get into some deep stuff, guys. A lot of federal officials, I'm telling you, grab the popcorn, take a seat, have been living luxurious lifestyles on our taxpayer dollars. Check it out.
Want to go this way?
Sure. No, we start with you.
Sure. So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, et cetera. And so the one change that Doge made with the Department of Education is...
Guys, $4 billion of money in the Department of Education from the COVID relief funds where you didn't have to provide receipts for using the money. You cannot tell me that there was no fraud. Listen to what they said. They were literally renting out Caesar's Palace for parties.
We had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. Anything. But as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums.
Leasing stadiums.
For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums. What's
$1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay? We're talking at scale.
This is driving me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
When you find these things, do you guys get mad? You're like, yes, I got one. How does it make you feel?
It's so common.
It's so common. You're like used to it.
Guys, you hear that? It's so common to find the fraud, waste, and abuse that it's like, how do you react to it? Like, guys, this is the stuff that bothers me so much because there are hard workers out there that bust their butt to pay into Social Security. They pay into Medicare. They barely get $1,000 per month. You got people over here renting out Caesar's Palace for parties, stadiums for parties. Nobody has any accountability whatsoever. This is the Dems slush fund and the Republicans too that they wanted to cover up.
I mean, you just get
so numb to it.
Unfortunately, like the 100th time you've heard it, it's hard not to get a little numb. Yeah. You know, but and by the 200th time, you're like, well, okay, it's just another day at the office.
We checked, is the Small Business Administration giving loans to dead people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
people with a birthday that could not possibly be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100, they're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that is fake.
So just by sharing a database and looking at Social Security numbers that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
right?
and dead people who are getting loans.
That was $660 million.
And also people with birth dates in the future.
What does that mean?
Well, in one case, I mean, I think the birth date, I think in one case was like
fetuses were getting loans.
No, not even. No, really sort of you're talking about like your great-grandchildren. Like with the birth date, like I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now.
2165, more than 100 years from now, people were able to get loans from our federal government on our taxpayer dollars, and nobody is held freaking accountable, guys. If this makes you frustrated, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. We had no idea this was going on. If you appreciate the exposure, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, this is what it's all about, showing the truth. What has actually been happening with our money? Why are we $37 trillion in debt? It's because of stuff like this that's been happening every single day, every single month, every single year for God knows how long.
Was the birthday?
George Jetson was getting paid.
Yes, because your birthday is in the future, like the far future, not like next year.
Right.
And this is either fraudulent or we have your birthday wrong.
It's either a typo or someone stealing.
Which is it? Yes.
Right.
Yes. You should at least ask, which is it?
Do you guys feel you're getting justice and accountability?
One of the, I think, extreme examples of non-accountability in some cases is has occurred at some of the small agencies. I think the Inter-American Foundation, IAF, is one of the agencies we visited where, they get $50 million a year, congressional money, to give grants. These are things like, alpaca farming in Peru, improving
That's a real example.
Yes, that's the real description. Improving the marketability of peas in Guatemala.
Really?
Fruit jam. And yes.
What? Yeah.
So you might expect, in the private sector, a nonprofit to give, 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What we're to find exactly, to Ethan's example is that even if you agreed with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru, well, actually, most of the money never made it out of D.C. Mm-hmm. It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What percentage
didn't even get to Peru?
Right. So what percentage do you think doesn't even get to the destination it's supposed to?
I believe the GAO estimate, so this is not our estimate, I believe it was on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient, whether you agree with that cause or not.
So they're just stealing the money before it even gets anywhere.
Guys, oh my goodness, guys. If we're not reporting the craziest news right now, they just said that only 85 to 90% of the money that we approve as through Congress to give to these other countries, to give to these charities, to give to these NGOs, by the time that the money is spent, 85 to 90% stays here in DC, in the actual NGO, in the actual charity, and only 10 to 15% ever reaches the people that it was intended to reach. If this is not the greatest corruption in American history, I don't know what is. How could only 10 to 15% of the money that we designate to actually help these people or help these whatever it may be across the world? This is why they go to Washington, D.C. This is why they set up the NGOs. This is why it's so corrupt, is because they were able to circumvent the law and keep 85 to 90% with huge salaries, big lavish lifestyles, private jets, big parties, and only send 10 to 15% wherever it was actually supposed to go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, everybody.
There's layers of stealing. So there's the first layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Subcontractor,
You start peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then and sometimes it's zero. Just flat, you get to the bottom of the onion, there's nothing there.
So maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
I overheard a contractor tell one of her colleagues to falsify billable hours by creating a PowerPoint to mask a delay in the onboarding process in front of me. And this is like hour zero at this agency. And so, this is just a common theme that you take a look at these contracts, you take a look at these grants, and it's veiled in noble rhetoric. It's at the top level. It sounds
good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And then you actually just follow what is what are the funds actually doing?
Or send us a picture.
Exactly. And
The send us a picture request is incredibly good. Like Pixar didn't happen. And then they're like, and it wouldn't be that hard to just, frankly, they could search for some fake pics on the internet or get AI to generate the pics, but they don't even bother doing that.
So you caught them cold billing fraud.
oh, I caught them, her advising her colleague to do this because it takes a few days to onboard. So that is being investigated right now.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like...
Did you hear that, guys? It's being investigated right now. The fraud on these contractors billing fake billable hours to the United States government, and because of our just horrible systems that we had, we were just paying it until Doge came along.
Like, these programs, these grants are going to be like along the lines of save the baby pandas. And it's like, well, of course, who wouldn't want to save the baby pandas? And you know, in some cases, they've got a show panda, which they will trot out for special occasions. In a lot of cases, they don't even have a show panda.
No panda.
There's not even one panda. Because we asked for pictures, and we don't even get one panda. And it's like, well, you gotta, well, that's a lot of, you know, what does $1 billion get you? Does it not even get you one panda?
You really want to see a baby panda?
Yeah, that, well, like, you know, like the Ebola money, we're like, okay, well, we agree with, like, we shouldn't have Ebola, you know. Where's the money going? Oh, it's going to Deloitte in DC. Like, what is an accounting firm
You hear
doing
that?
with Ebola money?
What has been...
So it was supposed to go to fight Ebola, but then it got redirected to a company here in the United States. Guys, this right here is what they're about to start talking about. 4 individuals at the United States Institute of Peace deleted massive amounts of sensitive data. They erased terabytes of data from their cloud storages, thousands of emails, and local files. They cleared nearly 1,000 desktops, recycle bins, and deleted over 20,000 SharePoint files after downloading them to an external device. The FBI and the DOJ are investigating. Guys, this is the fraud, waste, corruption, abuse that we knew what was happening, where they're finally investigating it, and I want to see somebody be arrested. Tell me what you think, guys, because again, too, if Kamala Harris is president, this never happens. Our history of America is completely changed in the most astronomical way. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, because we want to show you the truth. We want to show you the receipts. This right here changes everything when it comes to our country, the accountability, where our hard-earned money is going, and why we can't pay somebody at an actual living wage on Social Security. We got to give them pennies. It's because of this fraud, waste, and abuse.
The biggest resistance? Is there one agency, is there one department that when you guys walk in, they all start fighting you, start hiding
Wait, I thought
things?
you weren't going to talk.
I'm sorry.
But I guess you can answer that question. Sure. I mean, let's yes, we've certainly had some battles.
Battles.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
who should talk about Yusuf?
Nate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jesse, there's an agency, a small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. It's definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters.
Institute for Peace.
Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be kind of be the opposite of the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
Was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
Or a bribe?
Or nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
They try to hide the evidence.
Right, so just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to...
I think that person that deleted that terabyte of records should automatically face prison time. Why would you delete records when all of a sudden you know that somebody's going to be looking into them? To me, guys, 100% corruption.
It's the question, well, why would somebody do that? The Doge team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department.
Loaded weapons.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yes.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
Mm-hmm. When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of Justice?
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ. And we were proud.
Right there, guys. They've already referred them to the DOJ, to the FBI. Put their butts in jail, guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is not only finding the corruption, cleaning it up, and holding them accountable. We want to see some arrest. Guys, Trump came out and reiterated that he promises the biggest tax cuts in American history and confirms that several campaign pledges are on the way, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for seniors, baby. This came out, guys, last night. We're going to keep up with this stuff. We want to hold everybody accountable because, again, just what you just heard, guys, it's not just the Democrats. Now, Elon Musk has said that the majority of it has been it, but there has been Republicans that have done the same thing. Listen to this, because when you hear about controlled opposition, what you are hearing is that the whole back end, the whole corruption, it's not just about the Democrats, it's the uniparty, it's the deep state. Check this out.
This gets to the heart of what the problem has been, and that is that the Republican Party is controlled opposition. Controlled opposition. The number of fighters you got up there is a handful. Don't let them come back and talk to you about everything they're doing. The number of fighters you have in the House and the Senate, in this House a little bit more, maybe in 25, 30, 35, in the Senate a handful, just a tiny handful, and they can sit there and they can talk all the MAGA talk they want to talk. They can talk all the populism. They talk all the economic nationalism. When this beyond talk, this is action. Where are you? Are you standing in the breach? Because Ed Martin is a blunt force instrument. He's kind of a mini blunt force. Trump's the big blunt force instrument. This guy's a couple levels down, but trust me, it's blunt and it's a force. You got Raskin and Hayes are two smarter guys on the other side as they got. Chris Hayes' show, they do not waste their time. When they get something in the gun sights, they know it's important. And they got brother Ed Martin in the gun sights because they understand there's enough cowardice in the Republican Party to blink. We cannot.
Guys, and we just saw that just yesterday, guys. We saw Rand Paul, Susan Murkowski, I think, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski. 3 Republicans who are supposed to be MAGA sided with the Democrats to try and stop Trump's tariff agenda. And if Vice President Vance came in and was the tiebreaker to say no. We have rhinos that are in the Republican Party that need to be primaried.
Blink. We cannot blink. And there's still this amazing lack of urgency with this administrative and deep state. I'm going to get into the administrative state and the Doge efforts about how hard it is to penetrate this.
Yes.
Of how hard it is to smash it. And the people like Ed Martin, they're prepared to step into the breach and say, hey, I'm all in. Only a handful. We have to have them back.
What we saw during the prior administration was, and at points before that, but let's focus on the prior administration. So what we saw during them was a use of the apparatus to understand, map out, and influence social media and online communications that had been developed for other purposes, perhaps, but that were being deployed increasingly domestically. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of people within the federal government who had direct plugins to social media companies, or who had conventional, regular communications with them with strongly worded suggestions about the directions in which those social media companies should take things. The thing is, if you look at the Facebook IPO back in 2012, the killer app for Facebook, more than anything else, was that it went with you in your pocket. So it was the first form of advertising that really had granular information about customer behavior and customer location. And that's really what made the market salivate when Facebook went public. 5G is obviously increasing connectivity possibilities, increasing bandwidth possibilities. And so plugins in the federal government that are meant to manipulate and direct social media in accordance with some kind of a federal policy would thus find their hands strengthened even more by 5G. So I think—
Guys, I bring the receipts. I hope you don't forget this right here. Look at this right here. Whenever it was Twitter, not X, this is what they did. Real Donald Trump. Ah, my goodness. Sorry, trying to get it. Look at this. Project Veritas, suspended. Real Donald Trump, suspended. Alex Jones, suspended. Laura Loomer, suspended. Look at all these. War Room, Bannon, General Flynn, Mike Lindell, G-Graphics, DC Drano, James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, InfoWars, Real Alex Jones, Roger Stones. Guys, all these. This is what they're talking about, that we're starting to, the new FCC commissioner that's on Trump's team is saying we're starting to dig deeper. We're starting to find out where it all started, because them right here, being able to suspend a sitting president's account, being able to suspend somebody who they did not like and did not want out there. Guys, this is the receipts of what you're hearing now from the new FCC commissioner of all the details we've been finding. The DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, the Biden administration were all working together to try and destroy what? Trying to destroy the conservative voice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
It's important to bring in social controls over the shaping of public opinion. We're supposed to be a democracy. We're supposed to tell the government what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to try and warp our minds in a direction that's favorable to whatever policy they may think we should be following, whether we like it or not.
You're going to have this constitutional crisis driven by what the judge said yesterday of stepping in between President Trump being commander-in-chief, number one. The deportations. And they're winning because they're jamming us up on the criminal element, hoping to break our will, because this is all about will, political will. They hope to break our will on the 10 million that have to leave. And you have to do it humanely, of course, but they got to go. That's number one. Number two is the one today, the New York Post has got it. I think, Secretary of State Rubin, the guy, say, hey, look, we signed the minerals deal, but it looks like we're not making progress. We're kind of going to take a timeout, or at least some word to the effect that the Ukraine thing, you guys slug it out, but we're not putting up any more money. So this is the kinetic part of the Third World War. And you saw President Trump came out yesterday on the Persians and said, hey, how about this 100% stopping the oil, all their oil?
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying the 2.5 million barrels a day going to the Chinese Communist Party, but blockade it all. Stop it all. So you got that part. Then you have the finance and the economics and how you're going to fund. So all those are converging over the next 100 days, which is phase 2 of this, right? To one of the most contentious, complicated inflection points in the history of the Republic.
100%. Guys, and look at this. More breaking news. You remember the guy, what was his name? Judge Juan Merchan? Boasberg? All these people that have come up against Trump or who presided over the New York trial. Guess what? Breaking news. I'll show you this in a minute. But now the Doge team has found NGO ties to their family members, their immediate family members. And their immediate family members received large sums of money, who the same judges who were over all the court's proceedings for Trump were also receiving large sums of money from Democratic NGOs. It gets deeper, more information is coming out, guys. This is what I'm talking about, guys. If you appreciate the truth, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button. Greg Yergin, welcome to the family. Let's go. Anna, thank you so much for the super chat. Say they were all behind Trump because he could win for them, but once elected, they want to act like they are the president. 100%. Thank you so much, Donna, for the super chat. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody.
Stakes that are on the table. That's the stakes Trump's playing for.
You were in an
He's not
accident.
doing small things. He's doing the biggest things you could do at the highest level with a sense of urgency. President Trump is set in motion the most fundamental reorganization of the world's commercial relationships and patterns as codified by trade deals with non-tariff barriers, tariffs, everything, all this complexity. But at fundamental, it's a basic reset for the reindustrialization of the greatest country on earth. That would be the United States of America, and putting America first and putting American citizens first. And right there, of course, Andrew Ross Sorkin in the New York Times, hey, you know, Trump just put on True Social, gasoline below $2. Folks, you're rolling up to Memorial Day and gasoline's going to be under $2.
Let's go,
How
baby.
How is that going for helping people in their wallets? And with the credit card
Look
debt.
at that right there. Gasoline just broke $1.98, lowest in years. Groceries and eggs are down. Energy is down. Mortgage rates are down. Employment strong. Remember, new jobs report came out this morning. Almost 40 or over 40,000 jobs added to the private sector, more than what they were expecting. And we reduced federal jobs, meaning we made the federal government smaller, and then we added more jobs to the economy. He says we're only in a transition stage, just getting started. No inflation. The Fed should lower its rates. DJT. Let's go, baby. Y'all show Sammy Smith some love in the chat for the super chat. Let's go. Guys, it's just the beginning. We are seeing that more and more people are discovering this, guys. Look at this. This right here is the truth. This is one of the stashes of weapons and cash that was being held at the U.S. Institute of Peace connected to the CIA. Guys, I bring the receipts, guys. I show you what the heck is actually happening. Why in the world would the Institute of Peace have all of this in their locations, in their buildings? They were working with the CIA. The CIA was using it to store and buy stuff through the Institute of Peace to execute missions that they were trying to do, and it's all being found out. All this stuff right here is being found out. This is like, to me, as we get closer and closer, we are unveiling what the Democrats have been doing, what is going on behind the scenes. The Doge findings are bombshell, guys. And guess what? The Federal Reserve just came out and said, you know what? We're going to build a $2.5 billion building. And Doge said, whoa. We want to investigate that first. Because right now, when y'all spend money, you don't do it in the interest of the American people. You do it to whoever's your family member. You do it to whoever is going to help you get a little bit of the kickback. And it's finally time that we are seeing change happen with our taxpayer dollars, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I am so ready for the change. The Democrats are like blowing my mind right now with what they're showing. I got to show you this, guys, because you can't make this stuff up. Check this out.
Kamala Harris has finished her election loss grieving period and has returned to remind American voters exactly why they didn't vote for her, why every single county, state, and demographic moved toward Donald Trump in the last election and away from the weirdness that is Kamala. Her 16-minute speech last night was as ridiculous as her campaign, as ridiculous as her entire political career. The most viral moment was the elephant story, which was her way of emphasizing the importance of protecting vulnerable people from Donald Trump.
Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Everybody's asking me, what you been thinking about these days? Well, so in the video, for those who haven't seen it, here those elephants were. And as soon as they felt the earth shaking beneath their feet, they got in a circle and stood next to each other to protect the most vulnerable.
Yes. The Democrats.
Guys, that was almost our president of the United States. Oh my goodness, did we not dodge a you know what?
Actually put up a cheesy kindergarten teacher to run the most powerful country in the world last year. Kamala is talking about protecting the most vulnerable. I guess she means members of transnational gangs and cartels. I don't know. Because Democrats consistently ignore those people that are actually vulnerable in our country. When an innocent person is victimized by a dangerous criminal or an illegal immigrant or a gang member, you notice that Democrats completely disappear, right? They don't care about those stories at all. They refuse to talk about them. They only show up when they smell a potential injustice committed against a lifelong scumbag. A very warped ideology is now fully in control of this mutant political party. Many in the party seem totally lost. New York Congressman Dan Goldman is now claiming that Trump has cognitive issues. He's talking about the 25th Amendment right now. And just a reminder, here he was talking last year about Joe Biden.
Wow.
I was in Israel on October 7th, as you know, and President Biden was nice enough to call me. And I can tell you, this was the day before that interview, I can tell you he was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
Biden was sharper than anybody spoke to. I guess you didn't speak to nobody but Biden. Now, do you see what the Democrats are trying to do? They want to use the 25th Amendment on Trump when they never even mentioned it with Biden, who literally couldn't even make a coherent sentence. And even with Kamala Harris, who was completely word salad, who only way she could speak was with a teleprompter. Guys, they're trying everything that they can to try to stop Trump, but everybody's saying, what are you talking about?
Joe Biden in 2024 was sharper than anyone he had ever spoken to. But Donald Trump, we might need the 25th Amendment. He's cognitively inclined. Here's more from Kamala, desperate to keep 20 million illegal immigrants right where she put them.
It is not okay to violate court orders. Not okay. It is not okay to detain and disappear American citizens or anyone without due process.
They're not citizens. I don't get this, guys. They're not citizens. They literally came in here illegally. They're not legal. They have no social security number, and they're being deported. But you see the propaganda again. The only reason she's speaking right now is because somebody is handing her some money. There's no truth. All it is propaganda.
Courage of judges to uphold the rule of law in the face of those who would jail them.
Yeah. Their method of operation leads only to chaos, lawlessness, and decay. They want due process now. They have learned nothing from the last election, continuing with the same insanity, ignoring the immigration mandate from that election. And those numbers are still holding, by the way. People still want these people out.
Yes.
Willing to do anything to keep their fake asylum seekers here till they can get them voting. Democrats are desperate to find Tom Homan making any kind of mistake. They're trying to find any mistake that they can utilize, that they can exploit, and they're looking like fools in the process. How many different pieces of evidence do we need against Kilmar Abrego Garcia as Democrats try to pull this man back into the United States?
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, it is just blowing my mind, guys. We got more evidence that literally they released it from Tennessee, the police did, of the time that this dude was trying to smuggle like 10 or 12 other illegals across the United States.
This week alone, we learned his wife's ex-boyfriend filed for a protective order because the new man in her life was a gangbanger, Abrego Garcia. His wife reporting a recording of him telling his mom that he could kill his wife and nobody could do anything to him.
Wow.
Maybe because he's protected by a powerful transnational gang? Maybe. The wife claiming, me and my kids are afraid now. He kicked me, pushed me, slapped me in the face, and threatened me. And as for those famous knuckle tattoos, a DEA agent under oath saying this just a couple days ago.
Based on your time as a DEA agent in the field, particularly in Mexico, these tattoos are consistent with MS-13 associations.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Do you know of any other set of combinations that would suggest some other organization this represents?
With this particular one, no, sir.
Yeah, that's just a DEA agent under oath,
lying,
sworn in, saying the only thing that these knuckle tattoos mean is MS-13. Okay. The left's other new hero is Moshe Madawi, one of those friendly faces from the Colombia pro-Hamas riots that we saw last year. Just a guy that wants to kill every Jew on the planet, no big deal. Naturally, Democrats eager to defend him after he was detained by ICE. Mosin was released on Wednesday and came out the hero, another left-wing judge. It's a big win for those claiming that he's just an innocent pro-Palestine protester. Here he was talking to the Trump administration after his release.
And I am saying it clear and loud.
Yes.
To President Trump and his cabinet.
Yes.
I am not afraid of you.
And I also want to kill all the Jews. Glory be to God. So defiant, new court documents, though, show that a gun shop owner in Vermont told police that that man, Madawi, had visited his store twice, expressing an interest in learning more about firearms and buying a sniper rifle and an automatic weapon, that he had considerable firearm experience and used to build modified 9mm submachine guns to kill Jews while he was in Palestine.
What?
Oh. These are their martyrs. But suddenly the optics of the...
Guys, this is what I'm talking about every single time. Like, it makes no sense. I got to show you what's actually going on, because when I show you this stuff that's happening behind the scenes, guys, we are, like, some of Trump's team are making things happen. But again, when I show you this stuff, it's not just like, oh, I want to show you the actual person who's investigating it, finding it, and exposing it. There's so much corruption happening. Listen to this.
Here are the undeniable facts. There are 25 to 30 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. According to the U.S. government, these biolabs are conducting research on dangerous pathogens. Ukraine is in an active war zone with widespread bombing, artillery, and shelling, and these facilities, even in the best of circumstances, could easily be compromised and release these deadly pathogens. Now, like COVID, these pathogens know no borders. If they are inadvertently or purposely breached or compromised, they will quickly spread all throughout Europe, the United States, and the rest of the world, causing untold suffering and death. So in order to protect the American people, the people of Europe, the people around the world, these labs need to be shut down immediately.
Yes.
And the pathogens, that they hold need to be destroyed. Instead of trying to cover this up, the Biden-Harris administration needs to work with Russia, Ukraine, NATO, the UN to immediately implement a ceasefire for all military action in the vicinity of these labs until they're secured and these pathogens are destroyed. In addition to all this, the U.S. funds around 300 biolabs around the world who are engaging in dangerous research, including gain of function.
You hear that? The U.S. funds over 300 biolabs around the world.
Similar to the lab in Wuhan, where COVID-19 may have originated from. Now, after realizing how dangerous and vulnerable these labs are, they should have all been shut down 2 years ago, but they haven't. Now, this is not a partisan political issue. The administration and Congress need to act now for the health and well-being of every American and every person on this planet.
Guys, again, it's more and more that we are unveiling. I got even more because in Congress, thank God we have some people that are actually pit bulls that will fight, that are unveiling some more stuff that I'm about to show you. Thank you so much, April Green, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show April some love in the chat. She says, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Let's go. Y'all show April some love, as well as Ruby Who for gifting a TrueLife News membership. I love it. Growing the TrueLife News family. Y'all show Ruby some love too as well. Check this out.
Thank you. Mr. DeBar, there is reportedly a backlog of contracts awaiting approval at the Department of Commerce, with only 5 or 6 being approved per day. NOAA alone has 5,700 contracts set to expire this year. These contracts include everything from post-hurricane flood assessments to janitorial services. Recently, NOAA came close to letting the contract expire for the Advanced Weather Interactive Processing System. The system is critical for weather forecasters to access weather data from satellites, radar, surface stations, and computer models, and to issue weather warnings. More recently, a data center at Texas A&M was shut down for several days because of bottlenecks in the department's contracting process, depriving Texas emergency and water managers of critical drought forecasts that help them manage reservoirs and track storm surge data and hurricane forecasts in real time. There are other critical contracts for Texas that are in Commerce's contracting backlog, such as routine maintenance repairs to NOAA's aging Hurricane Hunter fleet. Can you commit to addressing the problems with the Department of Commerce contract process and resolving the backlog of contracts?
Yes, Chairman.
Thank you. The Department of Commerce plays an underappreciated role in U.S. science policy, something you have a great deal of experience with, emphasizing applied science, technology transfer, and commercialization to drive economic growth. Given your experience managing national laboratories and advancing tech transfer at the Department of Energy, what lessons could the Commerce Department apply to better accelerate public-private partnerships and the commercialization of federally funded R&D?
So Senator, my kind of philosophy around federal government spending is it should be the equivalent of venture money. It should be the equivalent of triggering money to get the private sector moving in a certain direction. Certainly discovery science is a big part of it, but how do you translate it, as your question posed, is vitally important. So taking a look at the structure around Bayh-Dole and Weiler-Stevenson that actually makes that possible, but how do we make that easier? And also, how do we set up better communities for people to see what we've invented or supported invention, either in the private sector or in the universities? And how do we make it easier for people to go do that is certainly something I did at DOE and would look to push that forward at Commerce.
Thank you, and I look forward to working with you in that regard. Finally, the United States has been a global leader in technological innovation due to our free enterprise system and strong rule of law. Our nation's leadership in critical emerging technologies like artificial intelligence will hinge on whether we embrace entrepreneurial freedom or instead adopt a European-style command and control regulatory scheme? You correctly recognize that the United States must continue to outpace China and remain the global leader in AI. What is at risk if we go the direction of Europe and the Biden administration and adopt heavy-handed AI regulations requiring prior approval before new innovations can be implemented?
So the AI sector, and you can't even say sector, but the AI applications are so darn broad. Everything from energy to agriculture to financial services, and I could keep going, is so wide that regulating something with that breadth and that width and people's ability to invent things across those and many other industries would impede economic progress and that whole sector and productivity for the whole economy and the welfare for everyday American citizens. So free enterprise and allowing everyone to develop across those and every other industry is vitally important for a broad set of reasons.
During the Biden administration, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, including the AI Safety Institute, looked at the worst of the European Union tech regulation, policing, quote, misinformation as a part of, quote, measuring AI and its, quote, risks. This was all nonsense. If confirmed...
Again, guys, this is unveiling that every single federal department was used for what? Corruption, management, manipulation, to control the American people in ways that it made no sense. Again, he just said they used it to censor people. This is what all this stuff that's happened, we finally now know because we have Doge and we have the people in Trump's cabinet. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I'm so glad, again, we got to expose all the fraud.
How will you restore NIST to its apolitical statutory mission and eliminate Trojan horse social policy?
So NIST has certain strengths that is clearly leader in the world, and one's on standards, one's on identifying the kind of the capabilities of certain technologies and measuring those. And so those, I think trying to have NIST stick to the traditional area that it does very well in versus expanding it into other areas, I think that's probably the right way to go for NIST in this particular area.
Terrific. So my final question is required of all nominees. If confirmed, do you pledge to work collaboratively with this committee to provide thorough and timely responses to the committee's requests and to appear before the committee when requested?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. I have letters of support from various organizations for Mr. DeBar's nomination, and I ask unanimous consent for them to be inserted in the hearing record without objection, so ordered. Senators will have until the close of business on Friday, May 2nd to submit questions for the record. The nominee will have until the close of business on Monday, May 5th to respond to those questions. So you'll have a busy weekend.
Guys, let me tell you this. Getting the right people, replacing all these, it matters so much because check out what I'm showing you on the screen right now. The DOJ has takes 4 states to court over climate laws. The U.S. government just sued 4 blue states, Hawaii, Michigan, New York, and Vermont, telling them to stop blaming oil companies for climate change. That's our job. New York alone is trying to hit energy companies with $75 billion climate bills. The DOJ says that these states' laws are illegal, unfair, and mess with the country's energy game. Just yesterday, Florida banned all the cloud seeding, all the weather manipulation, just banned it completely out of the entire state. Guys, there is stuff that has been happening with whenever we look out and we see things happening, we're like, what's that in the sky? Or what's like, there's so much that we're uncovering. It's just across the board, guys. But what I'm happy about is that I want to see people be held accountable. I want to see people being arrested. Why? Because that tells us that they're doing their dang job. D. Adams, thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Let's go. KME Multiplex, thank you so much for the super chat. Said Trump has nothing to fear from those questioning his mental status. He will mop the floor with them, and J.D. Vance will certainly not challenge Trump. 100%. Donna, thank you so much. Said Trump needs to be suspending habeas corpus. That's what we need right now. That will stop any judge, and Trump can send anybody over the border. And Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, thank you so much for the super chat. Said Romans 12:19 specifically says, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place under wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Amen. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. I'm bringing on one of Trump's pit bulls that's helping to clean up all the corruption, guys. All the corruption. Listen to this.
We're excited to welcome back to the show the interim U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, former counselor to President Trump, Alina Habba. Alina, it's always wonderful and great to have you back on. What's your take on voters saying they like President Trump's common sense fixes to America?
I think it's just basic. It is common sense. I can say, as somebody who's sat in the White House, somebody who's now working for the Department of Justice, the first 100 days are only what you see. There is so much more to it. And I wish I could discuss some of the things that we're doing that are just in the Department of Justice, for instance, we have investigations that are ongoing that we can't discuss that are part of his first 100 days. The reality is it is common sense. Things that were neglected, law firms behaving badly, as you've seen, coming to the table, settling with the president. We've seen this on and on and on, and America was tired of it. I think they spoke really loudly on November 5th. You can't really speak louder than 80 million people. And it was just basic. America wants to get back to a place that makes sense, that they can relate to. And we went so far off track for so long. So I was really proud to be a part, and I'm still proud to be a part of this administration.
Saying on this, Alina, we'd like to get your reaction to what I&I Insights says, that, quote, the most important thing Trump has done is bring back common sense to Washington, that Americans can now breathe a sigh of relief and express their own common sense views, that illegal aliens should not be allowed to vote, things like that the border should be secure, America's streets should be safe, that it is okay to buy gasoline cars, that government overspending is wasteful, that intolerance and discrimination is never acceptable, no matter how you dress it up in DEI policies, that companies should focus on serving consumers, not anti-capitalist zealots like AOC and Bernie Sanders, that violence for political ends is never justified. So when you stepped into your job in New Jersey, when you are now working for this White House and you've taken over, how bad was it? How bad was the crater that you saw, and how badly America needed to be fixed? What don't we know?
Horrible. I can tell you just on some basic things that I've had to do in the past couple days, looking at my state in particular. And, the Department of Justice, the last Department of Justice, just left behind simple, basic things like elections that need to be secure, open borders. It's nonsensical that we now have a party that used to say that they wanted electric cars is now keying and destroying Teslas. And I'm watching this saying, okay, from the Department of Justice standpoint, we will get you. But from a common sense standpoint, again, I don't know what's going on in their minds. Nope. The reality is you have to have an identity. Department of Justice, our identity is no crime, keep America safe. We didn't see that. It was so bad, I can't even tell you. I'm going on a raid tomorrow, was on a raid last week. The amount of illegal crime that I have seen just in this state, let alone Kristi Noem, and you've seen ad nauseum, Tom Homan, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. There are not enough of us to do the amount of work that we have to do to correct the problem. And we are working round the clock to do so. But I can tell you it was backwards. It was beyond backwards. It was not pro-America. It was pro-immigration, pro-crime. It was pro a lot of, politicians getting wealthy behind the backs of taxpayer dollars on their salaries. That just won't stand anymore. And our directive is very clear. We will come after you if you break the law. We will come after you if you are an illegal alien that has come in illegally. You will be dismissed, removed, and we will not tolerate any crime in this country anymore. That is common sense.
And it's back to normal, right? It's what America used to be about. Final word. It's back to normal. It's what the U.S. was.
It's 100% back to normal, and we're working hard to do it very quickly.
Okay, Alina Habba, always, again, wonderful to have you on the show. Great to listen to you and to get your insights. Appreciate you ever so much. Now, please listen to this.
Guys,
we're excited to welcome back to the show.
Sorry, guys. You want to see what Trump is doing, guys, right here? So he just beat the jobs report by like 40,000 expected jobs to be added. He beat it by like 40,000, Trump did. The federal government workers are down for the 4th consecutive month from a record 2.413 million in the last month of Biden's administration. So we're reducing the size of government. We're eliminating jobs. We're giving them an 8-month severance. Hey, for 8 months, you get paid and you don't even have to go work, but just go find a job in the private sector. This is something, guys, that I'm telling you, I am loving what this chart shows. It is showing that Biden was all about adding federal employees, adding, and then he would say, oh, we're growing the economy. Oh, we're adding jobs. No, what you were doing was growing the federal government. Trump is now reducing the federal government and at the same time helping to add jobs through incentives into the private sector. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. To me, this is what matters. When we look at who's being held accountable, what's being found, guys, the corruption. Listen to this, because you think that there's not going to be any money that's specifically spent a big time that the Doge is not going to be involved in. Think again. Check this out.
Takeover. The new digs have been described as Washington's Palace of Versailles, with rooftop garden terraces, skylights, and VIP elevators. Well, Elon Musk says the Fed's plans are eyebrow-raising and should get doged. Speaking of, his Department of Government Efficiency has saved taxpayers $160 billion. While that is short of their goal of $1 trillion in savings, the group says they are far from done, and they continue to publicize some of their crazy findings, like the Education Department's party fund.
There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, et cetera. And so the one change that Doge made with Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog.
Let's go.
Anything. And but as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
And then the parties dried up. And the Small Business Administration actually giving money to George Jetson and dead people.
Is the Small Business Administration giving loans to dead people, people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
people with a birthday that could not possibly be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100. They're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that is fake.
So just by sharing a database and looking at Social Security numbers that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
right?
and dead people were getting loans.
That was $660 million.
Yeah, and Maria, they were even giving them to people who had yet to be born. They made up birthdays in the year 2165.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I know that all of these people were on the rolls, but we don't actually know that they took in the benefits, right? That they took in that money. So, go ahead, Lauren.
That's the part that is very difficult to find out. So they're uncovering it, but they haven't necessarily followed the money.
Yeah, so John, I mean, that's the crux. The fact that they're on the rolls is already ridiculous. I mean, they shouldn't be on the rolls. That it sets you up for failure right there. But once we know if they actually took the money, then it even becomes a bigger conversation in terms of
guys. And what bothers me so much about this is that the Democrats literally fought so hard, and even John Kennedy had to pass a law to just share the death master list of people that have passed away. So what I don't understand is, why is the government so abhorrent to sharing data between the federal agencies? Why? Because then it eliminates corruption. Then it's easier to catch corruption. Like, this stuff to me, guys, is so apparent. And I know that there's more to it, but to me, common sense matters. If you cannot share data between the Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and the VA and all these systems, and it's easy for corruption to happen, then whoever's trying to protect it, they need to be arrested because they are obviously covering something up if you're trying to protect the fraud, waste, and abuse.
Did they know it, that that's not their money and they're taking the money? So, bottom line, this is a huge waste of money, John.
It's a huge waste of money, and I'm troubled by the fact that it took so long to investigate this waste and fraud, to bring this to the attention of the American people. Why is it? Why was this tolerated for so long?
Michael.
You know, when I was in the state legislature for 17 years, I never voted for a tax increase. Why? Because I always said, are we spending the money the way we tell our taxpayers we're spending them? Because obviously here, what you're doing is you're eroding any confidence of the American public that the government actually knows what they're doing when it comes to spending money. And what I love, Maria, is to think, oh, $1 billion here, but that's not a big deal. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right. Well, when you get up to $36 trillion in debt, you realize you're talking about real money, taxpayer money. Thank you for that.
Guys, that is real money. Like, oh, it blows my mind. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I want to say, if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want you here. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. We got so much going on. History is in the making, guys. We're here to serve you. Want to give some love to Jeffrey Had for the super chat. Said, let's go, Doge. Save money for this country and not from the Democrats' pockets. Let's go. And Donna, who said, I think we're responsible for Hurricane Helene. We never get hurricane this far to the west. It was a complete shock. 100. You know what? I wouldn't doubt it. And B1 Sly One, hopefully you got that email. Guys, we couldn't do it without you. We are here to support you. You see us, guys, when we donate live on stream. You see me donate, and thank God we have donated over $33,000 to local charities on this channel with your support. When you give a membership, when you give, when you're a member, when you give a super chat, guys, we take this money, we donate it, and we are changing lives, guys. And I just want to give some love to KOC, Donna, Anna, Greg Yergin, Sammy Smith, April Green, Ruby Hoove, D. Adams, Kami Multiplex, Greg Yergin, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Jeffrey Hat, B1 Sly One. Show them some love in the chat, guys. Big things are happening. I've got you taken care of on the breaking news. And guys, I'm telling you, we're gonna see some things happening. I got a big show for us tonight on some stuff that I found out. And I'm super excited, guys, because again, to remember, Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. We're here to serve you. We love you, appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.